Hi, I'm going to adjust that a little bit. There we go. So, I would like to talk today about breath work and breathing for singing. So, you probably know a little bit about breathing for singing. My goodness, there's so many things out there, YouTube wise. Hopefully, your voice teacher talks about breathing for singing in a good way that you understand it. But I'm gonna touch on that a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about breath work and how that can help your breathing for singing. So breathing 101, so to speak. Uh, we want to talk about this part of the body. So I'm gonna step back a little bit so you can see me. So your diaphragm is here, right? And it's down below the breastbone, sternum, and it is a little bit domed. And we used to think that it went here, but what we know now is that it sort of goes sideways. That will help get the rib cage out. And we used to think too that when the diaphragm went down, it pushed the viscera out. But actually, what we know is that other abs get involved in breath, and that's really what you're feeling when you feel this expand or go towards the floor. And when you sing, you want to take that breath, of course, and then you want to try to hang on to that sensation of engagement in this way so that the body isn't collapsing as you sing, right? If you can keep the body from collapsing as you sing, then you can sing long lines and sing for a good portion of time without running out of air or feeling like you're going to die any minute of suffocation. So, with that being said, that expansion that occurs is sometimes difficult for people to get a hold of, especially if they've done a lot of dance, ballet, a lot of athleticism. Say if you're a runner or a marathon swimmer or those kinds of things, you learn to breathe high and quickly in order to maintain the athleticism or the intense athletic breath work that you may need to be doing to maintain something super physical. So that breath of going out when you inhale should remain, and even though I'm talking and blowing out air, I'm able to maintain that sensation of inhalation. But that doesn't mean that I'm like pushing out. That can cause me all kinds of stress up here and in the shoulders. So I just want to take that breath out with my belly, breath into the body. And if that's a weird concept for you, think about pouring water into a glass and how it fills up, right? When you pour something into another vessel, and we are a vessel, that vessel something has to happen. There's cause and effect. So when I take air in, it increases the volume of the physicalness of my body. So by increasing the volume within my thoracic region, my thorax must respond in kind by going out. If I inhibit that by breathing, well, then my chest will rise. I don't get enough breath. It's not a complete breath. I will sometimes feel like I can't catch my breath. It makes me feel more anxious. And we don't want to feel anxiety when we're singing. So, and also when we have lots of things to do. So there are two kinds of things that I pay attention to and know about. And one is called the breath of fire. Both of these are breath work, by the way. It's called the breath of fire. It's a 3-minute exercise on breath. The other is a Wim Hof exercise. And Wim Hof is an intense guy, and if you watch any of his videos on YouTube, you'll see just how intense he is. But he has a huge, almost cult-like following, and I love his breath work. I've done some of his hot and cold stuff, and it's pretty energizing, but it's also very extreme. And I suggest that for people of a certain type, and that's a different video. But anyway, so let's talk about breath work and what that means for me as a singer. So if I'm particularly anxious or I don't sleep well, those things really affect my ability to perform. So I want to do some breath work. It's a natural way of kind of getting the endorphins and it's serotonin to be a little more even. It also allows you to get lots of oxygen into the body and oxygenate your cells, and to give yourself a sensation, the brain a sensation of well-being. And you can get that through some drugs perhaps, but my suggestion to you is that the more natural way the better. And if I need to really deal with some anxiety or say some stage fright, or even just to be able to relax, breath work is hugely beneficial for people who need to have a little more steady, if you will, emotional being through the day, and to also turn off that brain at night so you can sleep. So the first breath work I want to talk about, like I said, breath of fire. So I'm going to sit for this a little bit, and I want to show you hands. You're going to take your hands like this, right? You're going to really close those knuckles, and those knuckles, you want to hold them a little bit tight, and the thumbs up, and you're going to be in this way. I'm leaning back right now just so you can see because the screen is pretty small, but you don't lean back. You just sit up as straight as you can. And if you can keep your arms here, that's fine. You can relax them a little bit. Just be sure that the tension is not here in the shoulders, that you're not like this, right? So that's not beneficial. And I think, no one's told me this, I'm making this up, but for me, when I think about my fingers being in this position, it allows me to focus on something other than the breath that I'm taking. Because when I start thinking about the breath, I start counting them, which is not good. That takes me into an anxious kind of place. I start counting them. I start thinking, is the 3 minutes up? I begin to sort of, panic about it a little bit. And there's no reason to panic. So, but if I focus here, right, on my fingers, or even think about energy being through my thumbs, and that I'm releasing some energy through my thumbs or taking energy in, however you want to think about that. If I think about it here and really tighten here, I tend to not get focused on the actual breath. Okay. Also, if I think about the action that's happening in my abs, I can also sort of get my mind off of how long has it been, how many more do I lack, all of that kind of stuff. Now, this may take you a little bit of time because you may need to practice. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So it's going to be fast. So you're going to be going. Okay? It's sort of like Lamaze if you've ever had a child. I find that women are generally pretty good at this. So really athletic men have a little more difficulty because they're used to breathing high to support their athletic output. So if you could, you go like this, turn on your phone or something, some sort of timer, go like this, and you just start panting like a dog. Notice the sensation in the body, and notice, is the stomach out and in, out and in, out and in. You can do it through the nose. Okay, and that's for 3 minutes. When you get to like 2:58, you're going to start thinking, all right, energy is going to go here. I'm going to hold my breath, and I'm going to come down, put those hands on my thighs, hold my breath as long as I can hold it, and then exhale. When I've done that, I'm going to feel a little bit lightheaded, a little bit funky. Don't stand up. And oh, by the way, do not do this standing up. First few times, I can do it standing up now, but the first few times you do this, the body's not going to be used to it. The brain's not going to be used to it. And you're going to need to do this sitting down. I even suggest doing it with a partner or a friend who can be in the room with you, just in case, especially if you're prone to fainting. But this is totally safe. You shouldn't, it's not going to mess with anything other than it just might not be used to it. And folks, if you haven't taken care of yourself during the day, and say you haven't eaten and you have low blood sugar, this might just kind of accentuate that. So if you could try to think about that breath happening and have somebody else in the room all at the same time, maybe do it together, like I said, that would be the most beneficial. And then you should be able to do it on your own. I do it in my bathtub sometimes when I'm trying to relax and I'm having a hard time shutting off the day. In this post at the bottom, you will find a couple of YouTube videos for both Breath of Fire and Wim Hof. Wim Hof, you might want to wait till you get Breath of Fire down. And then when you do Wim Hof, that's a bit longer. It can be up to as many as 20 minutes. Do one session at a time until you get used to it. But it is crazy beneficial if you can do the whole thing. You'll feel a huge difference in your mental sense of well-being and sense of lack of anxiety. Even the anxiety will just go. A lot of people call it the ego killer. It will help you get rid of the ego, which generally stands in most of our way. So there you go. Breath work, hugely important for singers. Really helps to work the cardiovascular system, but also deal with anxiety, stage fright, things like that. So click on the links below to find some other video kinds of things that will help you and give you some more information on these two subjects. Happy breathing.